Welcome to We Are Soccer, the show that talks about pro soccer, youth soccer, and everything in between. I'm Craig Hearn, and we've got lots to talk about, but the EPL is not one of those things. All right, as we all know, as you probably know, I should say, Queen Elizabeth III passed away this past week, and the Football Association shut down all soccer, football in England, activities for the weekend. So EPL, EFL, WSL, and all youth soccer were postponed. So I've seen a lot of posts, I've seen a lot of people talking on Facebook and on Twitter about, oh, big deal, she passed away, let's just get on and let's just play. Trust me, I get it. I want to watch soccer as much as the next fanatic. But I do like that it is a sign of respect and a show of respect. Plus, please, there's no need to be mean and crude about it. The woman was a mother. She was a grandmother. She dedicated her entire life to the country and to her kingdom. I get it. She didn't have a big job and whatever you want to say, but have a little respect, all right? Listen, I did think at first, I said, all right, I get it. The Football Association has paused all games, postponed them for the weekend because of everything Queen Elizabeth and the Royals have done for soccer in England. And I started to look into it. To be honest, Queen Elizabeth didn't even like soccer. It was not her favorite sport. Horse racing was her favorite sport. She did hand out the FA Cup in the 1950s a couple of times. She did hand out the World Cup in 1966 when it was played in England, and England won it. But other than that, she really didn't do much. The Royals kind of went dark on soccer for quite a few years until Prince William, Villa fan, Prince William came along and took over and is now president of the Football Association. He does hand out the trophies in the FA Cup and in other big cups, and he does attend a lot of games. He was at the Euros. So listen, they do. Prince William does a lot for the sport because he loves it. They do pass a lot of things for the sport. They help the sport along. I'm pretty sure they helped get the women's game going a little bit more in that country. But again, Queen Elizabeth did not. But let's at least show a little respect for her there. All right. Besides that, we don't have any. We have a little bit of EPL to talk about this Sunday evening. Graham Potter is now in at Chelsea. We'll talk about that. We've got some fun facts to throw your way there. I do want to quickly say, going back to the Queen Elizabeth thing and football/soccer being paused, rugby and cricket were not paused in England. Those went ahead as scheduled this past weekend. So make of it what you will. The Football Association decided to show a sign of respect, and there we are. All right, before I get too far along and just chatter the whole 2 hours away, I want to make sure I introduce the boys at the kids' table. Welcome, Nate and Brooks. How are you guys? What's going on?
I'm good. You didn't get to complain about EPL VAR this week because there were no games to watch.
I love that. Yeah, we're not complaining. All right, Brooks, what are you wearing there? What jersey we got?
Oh, I got the Denmark older national team jersey on. So my parents bought this one for me when I went overseas. So
Love it.
That's the one now, and then I'll have to wait for the second half of the show to see the other one.
Brooks loves his costume changes.
Yes.
And Nate is classic Stuttgart jersey because, well, we'll get to that in a little bit because Nate is going to cry tears of joy this week.
Well. All you motherfucking naysayers. Oh, I don't want to watch the Bundesliga. Oh.
Something to watch this week.
Oh, many of them did.
And MLS.
They had nothing else to do.
You MLS haters.
They were forced to either talk to their families or watch the Bundesliga.
Or MLS.
Welcome. Well, that's later in the night.
Or USL.
Okay, that's later in the night, too.
Okay.
So, yeah. What are you going to do on a Saturday, Sunday morning? Deal with your family or turn on the Bundesliga? You came crawling back, didn't you? Didn't you? You fucks!
Oh, jeez.
Nate's rather hyped up at the moment.
Good morning.
For reasons we will get to in a couple of minutes. All right, I do want to jump in. We usually do start off with the EPL, and again, it was postponed this week. One, I do want to ask you guys a question, Nate and Brooks. Did the English Football Association, did they miss an opportunity to show a sign of respect to the passing of the Queen by having games being played and maybe, a minute's silence? I know they will do that, but that'll be next week. It'll be out of mind. Did they miss an opportunity? Was there really a reason to postpone games?
Yep. Actually, historically speaking, and I know this hasn't happened in 70 years, if the timetable works right, there is supposed to be 7 to 10 days of actually mourning throughout the state of England. Yeah. It was going to happen. So it was either going to we won't do it this weekend, but we'll do it next weekend. It was going to happen no matter what. Okay. Now the question is, and this is what I don't understand, and we can talk about this maybe, but what are you going to do with the Champions League? Because I believe the State of Mourning and the State of Games are canceled for this weekend and midweek. Supposed to be, right?
I had not heard about Champions League games because
so what do you do though?
Official English.
No, that's my point. So what do you do? So if you're,
I think those teams have to go ahead and play.
Yeah, I would. But what if it's a home game?
No, I think you just that's it. Unfortunately, because it's competition outside.
Right.
Technically outside of it.
That's what you would
come into. I think it's played.
That's what you. But they haven't announced it. But no one, So the reality is, you have. It's not royalty is not really a political anymore. Any political official is more of a famous. Symbol of English heritage, and you have to honor it. So you're going to do it no matter what. It just sooner or later, and honestly, I think they made the right decision doing it sooner than prolonging it. Just do it, get it over with. I don't mean to say get it over with harshly, but do it.
Sure.
Get through it. They'll do obviously once they come back on, they'll do their mourning and silence and whatnot, but I don't think they made I don't think they should have stalled out. That's just delaying the inevitable.
I agree. Like you said, it was going to happen. Whether it was this weekend or next weekend, it was going to happen. So let's just, not to say get it over with,
I just want
it to happen, and they did it. I like they made a quick decision. It was within 24 hours they made that decision, and it was a go.
So Liverpool Ajax is supposed to be at Anfield.
Mm-hmm.
Does it go on?
I got a feeling that goes on. I got a feeling the Champions League games go on.
Yeah, I think the more important question is what is the English national team going to do for her during the World Cup? I think that's where the tribute needs to happen, in my opinion.
I think it would probably happen if it wasn't in a country like Qatar. But
what are they going to wear on their jersey? They're going to do signs of respect for the Queen. You'd be stupid not to.
Yeah, maybe they'll have a black armband or something like that. I don't know.
Or a little patch or something.
Yeah, it's interesting. Big news this week, obviously, in the Champions League. Chelsea fall 1-0 to Dynamo Zagreb. It was at Dynamo Zagreb. And then, it must have been within 5 or 6 hours of the news was released that Chelsea was ousting Thomas Tuchel. Now, the rumors have come out that over the summer, the new ownership, Todd Bowley, and the consortium there wanted Ronaldo. They were pushing hard for Ronaldo. Thomas Tuchel said, no, I do not want Ronaldo. So they didn't get Ronaldo. And also, they wanted Thomas Tuchel to help find a sporting director for the club. And he said no there as well. He was not interested. He wanted to focus on his job as a coach. I guess they didn't feel he was dedicated enough. And then they have had a poor start to the year. Currently, Chelsea sit in sixth place in the table, 3 wins, 2 losses, and a draw. That's in the Premiership with a negative 1 goal difference. So they pulled the trigger, and goodbye, Thomas Tuchel. And in comes, it must have been, you must assume that it was being worked behind the scenes because it went very quickly, the negotiations with Brighton Hove Albion and Graham Potter. And Graham Potter is now the new Chelsea coach. Before I kind of spit out a few facts and other little pieces, Nate, Brooks, you guys got anything you want to talk about? Anything you want to say? Surprised? Not surprised?
It's a sad day for my Seagulls.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I'm surprised they let him go. Graham Potter, I'm surprised that, they said, that they allowed it to happen. Yeah. I guess hats off to them and that organization for allowing a coach or, a manager, if you will, obviously you said, all right, I want to try the next big thing here and go on. Now the question is, though, and this has nothing to do with Potter. Actually, he's probably a decent coach, but is he going to be successful? Is he going to be given the time? Because Tuchel wasn't bad. Was it 100 games, 60 wins, 24 draws, 16 losses? Yeah, he had a slow start. But I think there was a lot of backroom issues with that with the owners that came on, some that you touched upon, that I don't think they were seeing eye to eye, and you had an ownership that was apparently overstepping boundaries a little bit with who they wanted in and weren't happy with it. So
I think so. I want to clarify that there must have been something written into Graham Potter's contract with Brighton, because there was a fee that was in place that was said to be between 15 and 20 million pounds. Chelsea up to that, and they paid pretty quickly. I believe it was 16 million pounds to Brighton for the services of Graham Potter, and the 47-year-old Graham Potter takes over Chelsea on a 5-year deal worth approximately 50 million pounds to him. As I said, compensation to Brighton of around 16 million pounds. Chelsea were impressed with Potter's ability to do things differently and his collaborative and communicative style. Again, he apparently said he would help Chelsea, Todd Bowley, and the ownership find a sporting director. He is on board to help with that. I know a little later in the show, maybe Brooks, you'd brought up we should talk about dual roles. Should it be the manager? Should it be a sporting director? Maybe it's one role, dual roles.
But more importantly for this situation is, why is it Thomas Tuchel's job to find someone? Why is it Graham Potter's job to find someone? Who else is in the front office fucking stepping up and doing something?
I agree.
And this is the problem with American ownerships. When they come and buy, it doesn't matter if it's domestic clubs in USL or MLS, or it's European clubs or wherever. Like you don't understand how things are run. And that's the problem with soccer sometimes, is there are different positions within a club that some clubs have and some don't. Because some take, and we can get into this later, is some have dual roles. And some just have, this is your specific role. And I don't know if it's a cultural thing, that's why they have different things or different positions for stuff, but it's just, for me, with American ownership, when they come in to do something, they have no clue what to do, and they blow it up. And now you're not even starting from scratch. It's like below scratch you're starting from it, honestly.
You know what's funny? Are you guys watching Welcome to Wrexham?
I have not yet.
It's actually pretty good. And you talk about American owners not knowing things. They kind of admit we know what we want to do, but they seek the guidance, and they actually went out and hired the most experienced person they could find to help run it. And then they hired somebody. They ran down and hired people who knew what they're doing. They flat out said, we don't know what we're doing. We're hiring people who know what they're doing and who have done this before. Their coach that they got in has promoted other teams and stuff, and it was doing the right things. So it's very interesting because, you watch the All or Nothings and stuff like that, where you have a bigger club. Yeah. You got the money to have 20 million. This is actually from a small level, and it's really good. But anyways, to digress a little bit. But so it's funny that you bring that up, because instantly I thought in my head, well, these guys are American owners, and admittedly can swallow some pride and go, hey, we need to get some guys in here to help. Because I think you're right.
That's because those two are humble, though.
Yeah.
I'll admit, Ryan Reynolds is a very humble. I mean, he makes lots of money. Oh yes.
What?
Yes. He makes a lot of money, and I don't know much about the other guy. I know he's a TV show guy, more of an actor, right?
He's a writer and producer. He basically wrote and created all.
But the difference between him and Bowley and whoever else, these guys that are 100 million, billion, trillionaire, whatever. Is they have no humbleness when it comes to things. They will never admit, because they've been so successful with what they've done in the business world, or how fraudulent they've been, honestly, that they need help. They will never admit that. But Ryan Reynolds and his buddy will.
Yeah, and honestly, I think they hired the wrong guy, if you ask me.
I think
because there's a lot of big small time coaches who do really great.
Yep.
Moyes. Smaller clubs go up. I think they should have hired.
I'm going to tell you right now, Nate.
Yeah.
Graham Potter at Brighton was in charge for 134 matches.
Woo-wee!
He won 43 of them.
That's not.
134 matches. He won 43. He drew 43.
But what's his
and he lost 48.
What's his Champions League experience? Oh, shit.
Yep. Oh, before Brighton, they said he was an up-and-coming coach. He was at Swansea.
Mm-hmm. That didn't last for a while.
Was
he after Bob Bradley?
I think there was a couple after that. He was in charge at Swansea for 51 matches.
Okay. And won all of them.
And he was in the championship, right? They weren't even in the Premier League at that
21
point.
wins, 11 draws, and 19 losses. So you're telling me new ownership comes in and wants to shake things up and get a coach that's going to make them win. You've got a coach who's pretty much has a losing record in the last two big clubs he was.
I think Pochettino was the choice.
Brighton finished 9th last year. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
He did a great job getting Brighton. And I think his best piece of work, Graham Potter, was actually selling Neil Maupay for £25 million to Everton.
So
you couldn't have paid me $25 million to take into my club.
If Nate was in charge, if Nate was playing FIFA and Nate was in charge,
FIFA manager,
FIFA manager, I would have 100% did what you just yelled out, which was brought in Pochettino on an interim.
He's looking for work
as an interim head coach.
Yep.
To see how it goes, especially because you're in the Champions League, because he has experience.
Yep.
I would have left Potter on the radar to see how he finished out.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it didn't work well with Poch, by the way, I could use lots of Tottenham coaches and lots of PSG coaches that didn't work out there.
Sure.
Doesn't mean that he's a bad one, and sometimes it takes a little, but he has big club experience with big name players that Chelsea, and in the competitions that Chelsea is trying to compete with. I would have bought him in interim basis, see how it works. Worst case scenario, you fire him, still get Potter. Best case scenario, you keep him.
Right.
And you say it's working out.
I mean, but apparently finishing 9th the year before in the Premiership, and he did, like we just said, that's a masterstroke to take Brighton, Hove Albion to finish 9th in the Premiership. That's great. And this year, they're 4th. They're actually 4th in the Premiership after 6 games. 4 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, plus 6 goal difference. Great.
Sweet.
There was no way they were going to finish 4th at the end of the year. They're probably at best going to finish 9th again.
Sure.
So you've played 6 games and you do really well. I mean, that's all of a sudden you're going to get a $50 million contract.
Wasn't Leicester like 4th at some point last year and then like tanked the shit out of it?
Yeah.
I mean, we're still
That's
early.
Brendan Rodgers the last couple
United
of years.
was going to get like
absolutely.
relegated two weeks ago, and you guys laughed about it, and then I cried, and then now they're like,
I didn't laugh.
Sounds better.
He did.
Yeah,
I
well,
definitely laughed.
it's because United fans bought real estate and owned Craig's brain like a certain word. Just like, I don't know what's going on in there, but he's like,
What does that have to do with Leicester?
I don't know. Anyways, I digress. I'm just saying that now they're back in it. I mean, it's early. Teams are going to go like this all throughout the table for the next like 2 months until it starts to
Until they take a break for the World Cup.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah,
guess what?
absolutely.
Union Berlin is #1 in the Bundesliga right now.
Do we think Liverpool
I
is
guess
going
we're
to
done.
finish in the bottom 5
Yes.
at the end of the year? You might. I don't.
But did you hear Klopp's comments? Because they asked Klopp if they thought like if they were like, so are you going to be joining Tuchel? Or are you going to be fired too? And he's like, no, the ownership and I are on a much better stable ground.
That's because he's won a lot of things for them, and they'd be fools to get rid of him.
Well,
That's because
also-
they gave him time too.
Also,
though.
we're overlooking the fact that when someone...
Wait a minute, hold on. He's won a lot of things.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He's won these small local
I'm
competitions and then won some champions.
Tuchel just won the Champions League. Just swooped in on a season that was fucking doomed and just won it and like was like beating out City. Other than that, he's done shit for Chelsea. Shitty.
I will agree, but obviously the ownership at Liverpool have been there for 10 plus years now.
LeBron
right?
James is a key investor.
Yeah, he owns 1%.
And
but
AC
they've been there for a while.
Milan. And AC Milan.
They brought in Klopp. Todd Bowley and the consortium and the people now who own Chelsea took over. They just spent £266 million. And they obviously felt that Tuchel was not the guy.
They went
So what
out-
did
By
they
the way,
do?
didn't
They
Tuchel
now
take
want to
over?
bring in their own guy. That's what happens. New companies, you want to bring in your own people. So
By the way,
here
wasn't
we go.
when Klopp was fired at Dortmund, didn't Tuchel take over after him?
Yep. Yep. Came in for Mainz. Yeah. So,
I thought Pochettino was the favorite as well. I really thought he was going to go there.
That's what that's what I would have done. I would have hired him as an interim basis, kind of what United did, but with someone better and let him ride. And what's the worst thing that can happen?
Right. I do think I think you had a good last year, decent last year with Brighton Hove Albion. Then you have 6 games where you're playing really well. And all of a sudden that earns you the spot to go to a huge club like Chelsea where there's millions upon millions upon millions to go buy new players. I think I agree, Nate. I think they jumped the gun a little bit. I don't think Potter's going to do well. And I think by the end of the year, he might be gone. The only thing I can say is I really hope he has a big out clause. Like Conte always signs and like Mourinho always signs.
Yeah.
Have a big out clause in contract. If you fire me before the end of this, I want 100% of it.
Yes.
I really hope he has that because if he doesn't finish in the top 4 at the end of
the
the year,
the problem
he's
with
out.
me that doesn't make sense about the Chelsea thing, and like they had Thierry Henry, and it was like Tim Dempsey and Jamie Carragher would talk about this like during like a Champions League halftime show or whatever, and like Thierry Henry was like, "This is a really weird move." They brought in all these players, and then they just fire Tuchel.
Because
it just doesn't make any sense.
Were none of the players that Tuchel wanted. Apparently, that's the rumor. So
they
spent 200, 300 million.
So when he went, he complained
on a bunch of players that fucking this guy was like, why are you buying them?
So So did Tuchel just complain and they just gave him an ultimatum? You either train and coach my players or just leave. And Tuchel just left.
No, he got fired. Apparently, it was a surprise to him. Apparently, he walked into training and then he was told then and there. Like,
no one just gets just randomly fired anymore. Everyone has a sense of leaving
according to reports, he showed up prepared to work and was surprised by what happened.
That's the British media.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't trust the British media.
You gotta understand he's also German, so he probably walked in going, I'm German. I'm here.
But
they would surely they would surely fire me before walking in, wouldn't they? They wouldn't let me walk in this building. Oh, my badge still works. Did your badge in? Yeah. What's the problem?
I have my parking spot. My name's still there. I'm okay.
My Deutschland flag is still hanging up. My strudel is here on the table. All is good. All right, let's get to work.
Did you just say my strudel is here on the table?
Yeah.
Love it. Absolutely love it. But we're all on the same page. Maybe jump the gun on Potter a little early. I mean, has a good 6 games, and now all of a sudden he's that. Maybe I like the idea of maybe you should have hired. But maybe Pochettino thinks he's so good that he's not doing anything on an interim basis.
He's probably got something.
Probably still counting all the money from his guarantee contract.
Yeah, he's got something in the works. Dude, these guys, they sit quiet for. Everyone's like, oh, he's not doing anything. Yeah, his agent's talking to the next person.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's figuring out who's going to get canned.
So
he's like, I want these jobs because I know this guy's going to get canned at some point.
Going back to how he said I saw Moyes. At the Europa, he was there for business purposes.
Always.
He was there.
This is how the game works. You never sit down and just play house.
He was there in a suit. He was there with like a legal pad. Nobody. He was clearly being doing something for business. Anyways, Luke here on Facebook, after he has done scolding and slapping you guys for getting something wrong geographically, came in and said, haven't heard anyone else talking about Potter being the wrong hire, but it's got me thinking now. That's what we're here for, Luke.
Yeah.
To get you thinking and fuck up geography.
That's what we do.
Apparently England is not the UK, so we screwed up on that one, Craig.
Well, I know, England's its own country, but it's in the UK. I mean...
Yeah.
Did I screw up on it?
One of us did.
Nate wins!
Nate wins.
Yay!
And wow, that's his first gold star of the game.
And watch me mispronounce all the names coming up for your viewing pleasure.
Can we give him a spelling test?
No. Spelling and grammar is not Nate's thing.
Pronunciation.
But we do have to talk about Nate Stuttgart and how he cried tears of joy. Just so everybody's aware.
Wait. Is it Bundesliga chat time? Or
no, we're
going off the cuff!
We're going off the cuff.
I cried tears of sadness when Graham Potter left. My seagulls.
Yeah.
My seagulls are no longer flying.
That is the text that he sent through. My seagulls! Exclamation point throughout.
I did.
I do love that you've adopted Brighton Hove Albion as your team. There's nothing wrong with that.
I like Southampton.
Adam Lallana apparently now is the interim manager there.
Yes, I did see that. Wow.
They couldn't find anybody else.
Wow.
That's not good. Someone, a 30...
Pochettino!
36-year-old. Yeah. I doubt Pochettino's going there, but you never know. But I digress.
Bob Bradley. Bradley.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
All right, Nate. Stuttgart.
Yeah, baby.
Bayern Munich. This weekend, I had to text you in the middle of the game and say, are you in the bubble? Are you watching it? Are you waiting till later? You didn't text back for a while, so I wasn't quite sure. let's talk about the game. I've watched the highlights extensively because I did not get a chance to watch the full game. I was out at my son's tournament up north, 4 hours away. But okay, explain to me how the first goal that Stuttgart scored, where Kimmich went down when he was brushed on in the box, he went. How is that not a goal? How is that not a goal?
Did you not see how far that jersey was pulled out? No.
I didn't see that.
He did.
Was it?
Yeah.
You had to see it. There must have been another angle that I didn't see.
So
you're not upset about it? Because I was upset about it.
No,
I wasn't. I thought it should have been a goal.
I wasn't. Honestly, at first I was more like, well, here's my point. Bundesliga just let shit go. No, but Bundesliga just let shits go. See, and then they reviewed it and came back. But Furyk had a fistful of jersey, and did Kimmich go down like a ton of bricks? Kimmich went down. He felt the jersey go like this, and then went okay, and just went down.
He's lucky there was another angle because that the referee was watching. Because if it wasn't, that's a goal in the back of the net, and would have tied it up there 1-1. Anyway, there's just a little piece of the game that I was annoyed with.
Yep, no, and he did go down like a ton of bricks. Like it just went to his knees and went like this. Yep. Like hey, had my jersey, and they reviewed it and it came back. But Furyk did then come back and slam one in the back of the net off of a assist from Mavropanos, the center back, who went up and just won the ball like a crazed, angry man and passed it to him. It was great. Loved it. I thought the game was highly entertaining. I was very surprised to see what happened. It's kind of funny because Munich's a little stuck right now because that's their third draw, I believe, in a row domestically. So they're struggling domestically, even though they did well in the Champions League.
And they have not. They don't drop points in in consecutive games.
And this
like
is the third game in a row since Gladbach, and there kind of is a recipe to beat them, which is, or to at least draw points from, which is pack it in and just let them come in and the Gladbach approach basically.
Where was Mane? Was he injured? Was he rested? What was going on there?
They were resting because of the midweek game that they were going to do. They were resting.
Well, they were in the Champions League this past week as well, where they won. They played well.
And they have a big Champions League game against Barcelona coming up. They're playing Barcelona.
That's the highlight
rematch.
this week. Absolutely.
That's this week. That's coming up. So they rested Mane. They rested McKendo. What I was surprised they should have rested Kimmich. I don't know if you guys seen pictures of his eye, but his eye's like this.
Hell of a black eye.
And and they're still playing this guy when they have several midfielders. I think they could have tossed in there that would have done the job. And I hate to crap on my own team, but all right, if I'm Munich, I'm not looking at Stuttgart as this powerhouse that I can't beat, right? So they should have put in probably Grabanek, or I can't pronounce names right, but they probably should have chucked him in there and just gone with it. Instead, they went with Kimmich, who I get who's good, but he was banged up. So I'm not sure why you start that guy. They got it right with Tells.
Before we how old is he? He's the youngest scorer in the Champions League and the youngest scorer in the Bundesliga. 18 year old.
17. Just picked him up. He came French player. Just picked him up.
Young kid.
That was
from Nice.
But they just picked him up this year. There was actually rumors that he was actually from Reims. There's rumors that he was gonna go get tossed on loan. They never tossed him on loan, and he ended up starting him. And
Matthias Tells, he's a player. He did really well. Now let's make sure everybody knows there was 2-2 final in this game. Penalty in the 86th, 87th minute, whatever it was.
But there was 2 goals that were
two goals for
disallowed.
Disallowed, yeah,
and
absolutely.
they were rightly disallowed.
I need to see the other angle on the other one, but Bayern Munich dropping points in consecutive matches like this has not happened in years. So this is big, and it shows that this league is becoming a little bit more competitive.
Right.
And for your Stuttgart, who last year was terrible, they were.
How dare you?
Very, very, very close to getting relegated.
That hurt.
Very close to getting relegated.
Well,
have picked it up this year and are doing very well. But I will say,
parody.
There's a lot of parody. A lot more parody now in this league. But if we're being honest, Stuttgart's goalkeeper and rear guard, man, that back line had a great game with the amount of shots they blocked.
Mueller is the goalkeeper for Stuttgart, who is a I think he's 19, 20. Oh, actually 24. German national team player. He likely will, hopefully, will take over one day on the German national team. I think he's doing very, very well. He's played for the under 23s. He's been in the program for a long time. They picked him up last year. Anton and Ito. Ito has just got called up for the Japanese team, and Mavropanos actually was a Greek national player that they bought from Arsenal. So they got players, and they just picked up their new striker that they just picked up from Reigns on loan as well. Looked really good. He was the one who was open for the goal that got disallowed. He did a lot of havoc in the box, and I think that was a great, great pickup from. Hopefully, that will be something that they can continue capitalizing and move on from.
Yeah, they're doing something right compared to what they were doing last year.
The biggest problem right now is Munich are 100% tied to Nagelsmann. They can't do shit. So they paid like release clause money to Leipzig. They paid like 20-some million to get him there. Like they basically like a player bought almost.
That's the way it's going. As we just saw with Chelsea purchasing Graham Potter from Brooks's Seagulls, right? I mean that's how it goes these days. And you can't fault a club for doing that. You can't fault the club for going, "Hey, new manager, we want you." And by the way, we're going to write a clause in here that if you can't just leave. If anybody wants you, they have to pay us compensation.
Yeah.
Welcome to the game, right? It's not managers don't run the club anymore. There's sporting directors and owners that step in and run, and that's the way it works. So, I mean, a club like Bayern Munich to pay 20+ million for a manager. Not a ton of money compared to the players they bring in. I mean, they brought in...
That was just to get him released. That's not...
Oh, yeah, then you got to pay him. Then you got to pay him, and that's how it works. I get it. Yeah,
and that's
absolutely.
a lot of money for in the Bundesliga that has strict financial rules. That was actually
where you're right.
That was the most highest paid manager to release a manager ever in the history of the league.
Yeah.
They're 100% tied to this guy right now.
Dude.
It's funny that they do that in the Bundesliga, and yet the managers get fired so quickly because there was more manager firings this week in the Bundesliga. It's crazy how quick they
don't do that. They don't do that in the Bundesliga. They don't pay that amount of money. That's why it's such a big thing for Munich right now because they've never done that before. No other team has ever done that before. That's an insane amount of money to in this league to throw at a manager. They're tied to him. They're absolutely tied to the guy. And they kind of maybe pitched their horse to, I like Nagelsmann, but the year before he went over, he was in the Pokal final against Dortmund and lost. So he's never really done anything until he went to Munich and then won domestically. So we'll see what happens, but it's not looking good for even though it's just 3 draws. They're losing points. They're not looking good.
You're right. They're not looking good, but they are looking good in the Champions League, where they beat Inter Milan 2-0 this week, and then they have a big game coming up, as you alluded to. They got a big game this week coming up against Barcelona, who are rolling in both the league and the Champions League.
Yes,
thanks to that 34-year-old wonder striker who apparently was a defender. Did you guys know that?
I did not know Lewandowski.
How did I not know this? But apparently everybody else in the world knew this.
Back.
Lewandowski, when he makes his Polish team debut, is a defender.
Oh.
What the?
So I get
only in Poland. Only in Poland. That's all I got to say.
Barcelona is doing well, and they totally took it to a team that I've never heard of and won't even try to pronounce the name because I will get it wrong. Out of the Czech Republic, but now they're actually going to play a real team. So it'll be interesting to see how they do against a real team.
Absolutely. Yeah. But they're doing very well in their league as well. It had, I believe, 4 or 5 games, and Lewandowski has made 4 starts there, and he has 5 goals. A big difference from last year where they were struggling, the effect of not having Messi. Lewandowski putting the ball in the back of the net. And I think, Nate, it speaks a lot to the point people have said, oh, Lewandowski can score goals in the Bundesliga, that
No,
farmers league for years. But what happens when he goes to another league like
Him in
EPL
Holland.
or La Liga, or Holland goes to a more physical league? It
Yep.
speaks volumes to what you've been preaching for the last couple of years, right?
No, they were all right. Him and Holland are struggling, clearly.
Clearly struggling as
Is
they
La
are the
Liga
top
better than
goal scorers in the
Bundesliga?
world.
Yeah, well, sure, why not? Everything's better than Bundesliga. That's why That's why players leave and then do well in other areas. De Bruyne.
I mean, I watched the La Liga match today, and I was like, I don't know. Like, it was, I mean, there's a lot up and down in it, but I don't know.
I don't think La Liga is better than Bundesliga. Up and down, for majority. I mean,
Villarreal and Real, but
Sure,
not
those
Betis
two
or
teams.
Getafe or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, but if every time Barcelona plays Munich, historically speaking, they get their ass handed to them.
Usually. Yeah.
So no, I don't think La Liga is better.
That will be the game
Yeah.
this week.
That
we
is
will
the game of
all
the
be
week.
focused on.
Yeah.
I
It
absolutely.
La
will be
Liga
a
has won a
riveting
lot of-
0-0 tie.
Oh god.
To be fair, though, La
hope
Liga
not.
has won a
Really
lot
hope
of big European
No, they have.
stuff.
They
Like
have.
Sevilla does
No, no.
usually won the Europa League or Villarreal.
Real Madrid
Yeah.
has won a shit
Yeah.
ton of Champions League.
Yes.
Real Madrid.
Yes.
That's it.
Right.
So,
And Barcelona last couple.
they've like 4, and
But it's nothing close to Real Madrid. I know that.
yes,
yeah.
Real Madrid has done very
Real
well.
Madrid now have a little bit of a problem as they went to play. They played Celtic this past week, and their star striker Benzema limped off and
Yes.
could be injured. They're not really sure how long he's going to be out.
By the
It
way-
took them into the second half to get goals, and they finally won 3-0
Yes.
there.
By the way, they've wanted him out for how long, and how important has he still been to that club? Even though they've won, people have been screaming for him to get
Oh, absolutely.
get rid of him.
Yeah, people have been saying he's just a bit part player.
So what's wrong with Benzema? Like, could he
He's
still?
French.
He's never been in the position
French.
where he's the man except for the last 12 months, and now he can't stop scoring for him. And
Yeah.
I don't see them succeeding without him.
People just don't like the French.
I guess. So when he's done, MLS.
Oh, I definitely
Bring it
see
in.
him in the MLS in the next 3 or 4 years for
Yes.
sure. I definitely see him heading there, and there'll be a lot of other players heading there. That
Can't wait for Inter Miami to have Ronaldo and Benzema like on the team and just be scoring goals for fun.
They won't have Ronaldo. Stop it. It's gonna happen.
I gotta agree. I don't think Ronaldo's coming to MLS unless a lot of his legal troubles go. But Messi is. Messi is already, I believe.
Yes, he's
kinda-
agreed to come to Inter Miami.
Yeah,
yes.
he's-
All right,
Miami
so
is-
fine, Messi.
I don't know. Maybe Benza will be like, I don't want to play in Miami. I'll go to LA or New York.
Or New York.
Maybe
yeah,
like New York
absolutely.
City. Like, yeah.
What about Chicago?
Heaven forbid Red Bull, but I don't know.
Hey, you have an option. Yes, what are my options? New York, where it's cold half the year, or Miami, where it's always sunny. It's never cold, and
Maybe Benzema likes a little more scenery. And he likes, he'll like Central Park. You don't know.
I mean, don't forget in the next 3 years, LA.
It's gonna get
LA
warmer?
has 2 teams. LA has 2 teams. Gareth Bale's not going to be there in 3 years. Chicharito's probably not going to be there in 3 years.
Probably.
Carlos Vela is not going to be there in 3 years. So
Yeah.
striker positions are going to become available there.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Chicharito missed his 9th penalty.
Yeah.
For the LA Galaxy. Holy shit! Can we just not have him take penalties anymore?
But he's
Surely-
never been
Is that-
good at penalties.
surely
He's
there's
never
somebody
been-
else.
Well,
A
yeah, they
center
had,
back, the
Puig-
goalkeeper.
Puig took them. The water boy could be better, apparently. That Panenka.
Why
he
isn't
tried.
Douglas Costa up taking him? Like he's their winger on
Yeah, I
there.
agree. Puig took the next one, I believe, and then they tied 2-2.
Yeah.
But why were we bothering having Chicharito even take it? He's missed so many. Just, hey, you probably won the penalty. Step aside.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna walk Stevie Wonder on to take this penalty. He's probably gonna have a better fucking opportunity to score than you are.
Yeah.
And that Panenka he tried the other week was just
It wasn't the right time for that, and that was for a hat trick
embarrassing.
too.
I get that it was for a hat trick, but I think because he missed it, they ended up tying, right? Yeah.
Yes,
that
it's
could have
2-2.
been-
They would have beat Sporting
that would-
KC,
yeah, that would have won the
and
game.
that would have helped them because dude, they're sitting now. They're 8th place below the line. They would be at 43, tied with Salt Lake.
Are goalies catching on to this Panenka thing? I know it's been in the last, let's say, 3 or 4 years, become pretty prevalent for strikers, flashy strikers, to try this in penalty kicks. But goalies are catching on, right?
I think so.
They're catching on to who does it. They have to.
Yeah.
Have to.
I don't know why you would want to do it anymore. Like
I agree. we talked about this last week, actually. I believe it was Ivan Toney, the striker for Brentford. He is actually statistically the best penalty kick taker in the world.
Yeah.
I believe he has a 98-point-something% chance of all scoring. All of his penalty kicks going in. He has a 2-step run-up.
Yeah.
1-2, bang. The goalie can't read where he's going to hit it. And then we got people like Chicharito who keep walking up and doing panenkas and missing. And just me as a striker saying, what the fuck is he
So we
doing?
got late breaking news right now.
Oh, Nate
Late
with the
breaking
breaking
news.
news.
Not me. Not me.
Late breaking
Who's
breaking this news?
Apparently Messi's going to play for Detroit City football.
I got it.
DCFC.
I want to hear the source on this.
It's Kurt on Facebook. He told me it. I'm going to go with it. I don't have anything in front of me to refute this. So, but he chimed in with Detroit City Football Club, Messi, which I can only imagine that means he's going there.
Messi actually probably has a Detroit City scarf somewhere that he's just holding, clutching at night.
Yes.
He holds it every night and hoping that his PSG days, when he comes to a close, that Detroit City make that phone call, right?
And he also
He
chimed
wants
in-
Chicago to make the phone call
Wants
because
Chicago.
everything's just going well there.
Kurt also
Yeah.
chimed in with his expert coaching opinion on how Chicharito missed that penalty kick. He fucked up.
I get it. It wasn't even Tim Millian goal as well. It was Pulskamp, the younger goalkeeper, like the young 20-year-old guy. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
like, just
it was.
bury it,
It was.
dude. I mean, the kid probably knew you were going to try that anyways.
All right, before we get too further down the road, I do want to make sure we talk about really quickly some of the Champions League results as Liverpool were rocked again.
We are the champions.
Oh wait, Nate's doing his.
The champions.
You really hit that high note there.
I've been
I don't
practicing.
know, I'm surprised the glass in here didn't bust out there.
Yeah.
That was pretty nutty. Liverpool rocked again. They are on a horrible slide at the moment in the league and in the Champions League. Chelsea lose 1-0 as we talked about it. Tuchel was fired, and then they brought in Graham Potter.
Oops.
RB Leipzig knocked back 4-1.
Yeah,
by
and guess what happened there?
Donetsk. Another firing.
See ya, buddy.
You're out.
Oh, did they get rid of him already?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They got rid. He walked back. That's why I said like.
They haven't done well in the league either.
You told me he was about to
I
get
said he's
fired.
gone. He's
Yeah.
gone because they
That was
did
quick
this
as well.
Well, they did. This happened with Marsh last year, and no offense to Marsh, but this is the Bundesliga, so they are really short with coaches. But they waited too long with Marsh, unfortunately, or depending on what you believe. But they were totally out of everything by the time they let it go on. So Tedesco, short leash, fired, and they brought in Marco Rose, former Dortmund Marco Rose.
Yes.
A lot of coaches
And we'll
seem to
get
be
to
doing
that
doing the
later.
kind of the merry-go-round. We'll have a good.
I
Segment
feel like when you
in a
coach in
little
the
bit.
Bundesliga, you're just part of the merry-go-round.
You are actually.
It's like you don't usually drift outside of the theme park.
it's
You're
the
kind
same-
of in
but
the
hold on,
I
Hold
love it. You know,
on,
just
hold on.
outside of the theme park.
Hold on.
Just like a theme park.
Oh God, I love it. And if you make your way outside of the theme park,
So,
like Justin
you're
Marsh,
scolded.
So hold on.
Yes.
There-
never
that-
again to be allowed back
the
in.
same shit happens with the Premier League. I'm sorry. It does it not? Oh, I'm sorry. Who we been talking about? Where did Graham Potter come from? You're telling me where's David Moyes in 3 different clubs that he's coaching from? Come on.
Oh, you know,
But
you're
the APL has
absolutely
gone
not
out and
wrong.
grabbed more
They have
international
gone- and-
coaches of late.
They have gone out
Yes.
and grabbed more international coaches of late, and the Bundesliga has also done the same. There are several international coaches or different coaches that have been playing there. And they've actually tried other different coaches.
But they don't understand the Bundesliga because the people that
If they
come
don't,
from big
fire
money
them.
leagues don't understand
But
it.
that's
No.
that's
But
why
smaller
why
leagues
these
actually where
clubs
they
keep
bring
going back to coaches.
Which makes sense because you have less money, so you have to be very careful.
But that's why
what you do.
these clubs keep going back to coaches because they know the league, right?
Yeah.
Listen,
It's
do
like MLS. You need
Right.
an MLS guy that know MLS. Like
We've
and
said-
most international coaches don't do well when they come over to Major League
We've
Soccer.
said it 100 times on
Yeah.
MLS Roundup,
Yeah.
Brooks. If an MLS club brings in an international coach and he's got no experience, he's doomed for failure.
Yes.
He
But
is,
there's-
because you need to have the knowledge of the lower leagues, the clubs in your league. That's why, and Nate's not wrong. That's why teams in the Premiership consistently go back to managers
Yes.
who have, why does Big Sam Allardyce keep getting, why does his name keep getting mentioned? Why does Pochettino's name keep getting
So,
mentioned?
there-
It's because they've all done it before, right?
But there is, in fairness, there is some criticism on the style that some of these coaches play.
Tony Pulis.
because it's very common. right? And
Right.
often the criticism is, yes, we're all kind of doing the same style, same system, which is great for our national team. But then it kind of, like, should you play the same style and system against Bayern Munich? Probably not. You know what I mean? So, and that's the problem there. But there are some different coaches that have been brought in. Stuttgart's coach is American. Don't forget that.
Oh, he is. Yes.
Leverkusen's coach is not German either. He came from the Turkish league, Simeone, from Young Boys.
Yep.
Now, those are rarities, though. So
Usually, like,
that happens
Italy
in every
and
league.
Spain are the ones that have, like, the random ones. But usually the Spanish and Italians usually flip-flop. Like, Pellegrini was coach of Villarreal, I think, today.
And that's
You know,
why
like,
so many English people were actually really happy that Chelsea went and got Graham Potter, because it's an English coach. And there's not a ton of English coaches actually in the Premiership. There are a lot of foreign coaches. There's
He
not a
is
ton of them. So,
relatable.
yeah, I mean, and Luke,
I understand his accent.
yeah, and Luke put
He looks English to me.
Yeah, put it well on Facebook. He's on the comments. He said, "Listen, there's not a lot of people saying that this is a bad hire. So why are we saying that?"
Hold on, this visual just popped in my head.
Oh,
of some
good Lord.
English guy just going, "They took our jobs!"
I think it comes down
total
to
South Park style. They took our jobs!
it comes down to this. It's a league in the country, and why isn't there a lot of managers? Why aren't English managers being promoted through? And finally, that one is again, and we're kind of shitting on it because we're saying it's probably not the best hire because he hasn't had the best record.
I think he's just not.
I'll be
experienced for what
happy
he's
if
trying
he
to
lasts
do.
through the year, which I don't think he will, because the club now, the owners and new owners are going to demand a lot from him.
You're inheriting a team that's not yours with
Yeah.
players that aren't yours, and you're
They may not even like you, too. They may not even like the playing style.
And-
You know what I mean? They may not even respect them. That's the
Right.
hard part.
at a level you've
Because
never-
when you coach high-class players, they need a coach that they respect, they're going to listen to. If not, it's just going to be a shit show.
Well,
Yeah.
all right, but the same thing happened to Man United, right? They brought in a coach who'd never coached within the Premiership, and we said the same thing. Man, he's got to get these guys to
Ten
buy
Hag?
into what he's selling.
Yeah, but Ten Hag was able to bring in his players.
True.
Was
Yeah, he
able
mentioned
to
Slowly, yes.
yes, but before the season.
Agreed.
He also has
Agreed.
Champions League experience. He's also won at Ajax. Ajax is a well-run club.
It's a very well-known club,
they
too.
hired him to run basically United like Ajax,
But-
bigger.
And what my point was, no, I completely agree with you 100%. But my
And that's
point
why I
was,
bought all
no
the
matter
best
who
players.
you bring in, and Eric Ten Hag is a young guy. No matter
Yes.
who you bring in, if you
At
bring in a younger
60.
guy, his first job is getting the
You like his
senior
bald head, is
players,
that way?
the senior players to buy into what he's selling. So he's got to get De Gea, Ronaldo, Eriksson, who obviously has a little bit of a history of a past with him. You know, they know
Ericsson
him
was
now.
new.
Eriksson was brought in, but he was still a senior member of the squad, right? But he was new to that club. You've got Shaw and even Rashford, who's
And where's
been
Shaw,
around for
and
years.
Where's Shaw playing right now?
On the bench. But
Okay.
you still got to get him
And
to buy
where's
in because
Ronaldo?
you know he's got. You
And where's-
see what I'm saying, though, right?
No, he replaced Shaw.
You see what I'm saying.
I see what
if
you're saying.
you do not get these guys to buy in pretty quickly as senior
Yeah.
members, they can within their little
Yeah.
clique,
Yeah.
and then the manager's out and no one's bought in and
Yeah.
manager gone. So Potter has to do a real good job because look at the players he has,
Yes.
all
So-
senior
and-
members.
And that's why I think he kept Harry Maguire as the captain.
Absolutely
all
spot
this.
on.
And he was smart enough to do that. But you look at some of the guys you just named, they ain't playing.
So
And-
he's saying
and-
winter transfer, no Luke Shaw's gone.
And
How many guys are
I'm
gone?
not saying that they're going to be gone.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is they're not playing and they're winning. So
Okay.
you can't.
Fair
yeah,
enough.
you can try to be a contrarian when you're losing and it works. But if you get your ass benched and then they're doing better without you,
Yeah, absolutely.
good luck. Not a lot of people are going to listen to you. So
Yeah.
it's a gamble.
It absolutely is, and Potter now has a real big job in his hands, just getting the players who he did not bring in
Yes.
himself. He's got to get them to buy into what he's selling. And
Plus,
if he can't
but
do that,
this
if he
could
can't
be
do that in a
good-
month,
Is this
it could be
good
a
for
disaster.
Pulisic? Is this good for Pulisic?
Oh, that's a
Maybe.
great question. It absolutely.
Because
is.
I saw it
It
on social
absolutely
media.
is.
Plus,
Because
right?
it's someone that doesn't know him, but he's played against him, and someone said he likes to play guys higher up the field. You know, he's
Sure.
not so much
Sure.
with the Tuchel is getting wide. You know, it's a little different playing style that may suit Pulisic a little better for when coming out for the World Cup.
I agree,
So,
but anything's going to be better than what Tuchel was for Pulisic.
Yes.
Because Tuchel,
because he stopped giving him chances.
Pulisic stopped getting chances. He was all of a sudden was in Tuchel's doghouse. He got 60 minutes and he was doing well, but then got benched again. I think Graham Potter will come in and give him a fair chance. And if Pulisic is up to it and is one of the top 11 players, he will play. I absolutely think he will. So he just has to prove that point.
They have
to
a
the new
cancer
coach.
walking into that locker room, too.
Aubameyang?
Yep.
Yeah.
Terrible purchase.
It's all about him. It's all about Aubameyang.
Is that not the first
Yeah.
thing we all said in our group
Yeah.
text when that purchase went through?
I didn't like that one.
That's a terrible purchase.
And it was like,
Absolutely,
because
100% agree.
Tuchel coached him at Dortmund, right? Aubameyang? Was he there?
I think
If so, that was
he
that
was.
was like
He did
7
come from.
years ago.
I'm just trying to think if he was there at the time Tuchel was, and I think he was.
Yeah.
I think he was because yes, he did come from Dortmund.
And he played with Pulisic.
No, I think he was gone before Pulisic. I think he was at Arsenal by that time. Maybe.
No, I think he played with
Maybe.
Pulisic for a year or two.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pulisic wasn't playing. He was coming off the bench. He was kind of getting starts. He was getting spot starts and whatnot. But
Possibly.
Do we think it's a good move for Pulisic? That is, do you guys? Because I think it is. Because anything is going to be better than.
Well, he's going to play. I think they've
Personal.
established he's going to play a 4-back. So Christian won't be playing a wing-back position,
Thank goodness.
which is good because
Allow
that's
him to
not
get
his
higher
natural
upfield.
position.
Yeah.
Which means he'll play somewhere up in the front three if he plays a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1. The question is, how does he play him? Does he play him more as a tucked-in second 10 on one side, then shoot the outside back on Christian's side to get around him, which Christian can very well play. I mean, as we discussed, he's probably not a 9, all right? But, I'm just curious how he's just going to...
Yeah, time will tell.
Yeah.
And they play next week, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
But 100% agree. I think it's a fresh start for Pulisic, who, if he starts the next couple of games and proves his worth, was very right in staying and saying, I don't want to move away from Chelsea.
Yeah.
He probably likes the bright lights of London, and he probably likes the club. So, and he's getting paid a fair bit, so it's probably a good move for him to stay. And maybe he saw the writing on the wall.
Yes.
Maybe he saw that Tuchel, it was not
I mean, I'll say
getting
this,
along
too.
so well with the upper management.
I will say this, too. I love how Tuchel coached at Dortmund, and I love his coaching style. He's very detail-oriented.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe they just need someone like a Graham Potter that's not as detailed and specific with these players. And like I've said before, is with superstar players, if you let them do what they do, you can get results from it and not try to handcuff them to do certain things that you want them to do. So maybe this Graham Potter situation does work out. Maybe all of a sudden you have more freedom to do what you want.
Yeah.
And it could go well, or it could go so many different ways with this hire.
Right.
But,
You know what I like about Tuchel?
Who's now does not have a job.
Yep. Played for Stuttgart Kickers.
always a Stuttgart.
Yeah!
I rolled my eyes so badly, I just got a headache. Oh,
I thought maybe you'd give
I
props
like
to Graham Potter and what I just said, but
I like
apparently
the-
No, I
not.
ignored all that.
I like the fact that you found a link to Stuttgart again. I think every conversation we find a link to Stuttgart, which
Stick it
Nate
in.
is very good at doing.
hard.
One piece I do want to kind of tie up here. We talked about some of the results from the Champions League. Spurs 2-0 winners over Marseille.
Oh.
Spurs quietly going about their business this year, doing well in the Champions League.
They are better under the radar, that team.
Yeah, they really are. But right now they're sitting in third. After only 6 games, they're sitting in third place in a Premiership. 4 wins, 2 draws, plus 7 goal difference. Quietly under Conte going about their business. And their Golden Boot winner, the Golden Boot League winner, he tied Salah last year, Son. I don't believe he has any goals in the Premiership at the moment. It's Kulusevski, Harry Kane scoring the goals, and Richarlison. Richarlison's doing really well there for Spurs, which for 70 million, that's a hell of a buy from Everton. But Spurs quietly going about their business. 2-0 winners over Marseille in the Champions League.
See, for me, Son isn't like it's great if he scores all those goals, and he has in the past, but that's not what he is to me.
He's not a true goal scorer.
He's not a true goal. He's a facilitator, and he's there to be a secondary goal scorer. When Kane's not banging him in. But if it's a plus, like if you get Kane scoring 20-25 and Son scores 15-20, like that's a great year.
That's probably the ideal situation.
That
Whereas
is.
last year was a bit of a down year for Kane, especially after the mess with him saying he wanted to leave and go win trophies. He
Exactly.
didn't end up leaving. But
The
I
all
think-
or nothing does with Mourinho and everything.
but
you
that
know?
was true. We all saw it. He really did
Yeah.
want to go to Man City, and then
Yeah.
Man City said, "Yeah, well, we know what's coming up. We're going to buy Grealish for 100 million, and then next year get Haaland, this kid who maybe no one's ever heard of in the
Correct.
farmers
And
league.
he went, the Bundesliga
League.
sucks. He can't do anything for you.
No one's going to take a chance on him, but we will." And did you guys have you seen the video of Haaland walking down the street in Manchester? Is that like he's just walking like there's a ball in front of him. He's just walking. He's got this lumbering walk. He's got this weird artsy sweater on, and then the Man United fans leaning out of a car saying, "Hey, come to United next year," and he's just kind of smirking and laughing.
Yeah.
And
But I'll say,
that's pretty funny.
Back at Tottenham, though, I would say, like, picking up a guy like Perisic and then
Oh, what a great pickup,
Kulusevski,
yes.
like just the small little pickups from the
Yeah.
Serie A to bring him over to
I did
fit
not
what
see
Conte
Perisic
wants
doing
to
so
do.
well, and
Do you-
he has really fit in.
Do you know that Perisic has like some uncanny record of like jumping on teams and basically
Yeah.
become a winner?
Yeah.
And then he
Yeah.
leaves.
Yeah.
He has like
Yeah.
some really.
He brings momentum into a
he has,
club, and he seems like
crazy
I think
record of
Yeah.
this.
was he? I think All or Nothing Juventus wasn't he on that team? Perisic,
I
I
think
think.
he was.
I
that
think
one?
he was. Yeah, he was.
And I just noticed how he gelled with the guys, and change of atmosphere is huge. And
when that transfer happened, everybody kind of like, that's kind of a weird one. But yeah, what a pickup! What a great pickup!
got 2 assists.
The Kulusevski pickup actually, because he was
Yeah.
knocking the balls in left and right. I think he's only 22 years old as
Yeah.
well. What a great pickup! I mean, Conte has come into that club and turned them around, and he only signed an 18-month contract.
Same with Carlson.
Richarlison's that's a big signing though. That's
Yeah.
70 million, so he's expected, and he's only 20. Is he only 22 as well? I think he's 21, 22. He's really young.
Man, has he been playing that long? He's only been playing forever for Everton.
You feel like he was, yeah.
Yeah.
But he only signed Conte only
watching
signed an
Everton
18-month
game.
contract, so who knows what could happen with that moving forward. Before we end this hour and move on to the next after a small break, I do want to kind of jump in and kind of knock this piece out. We have the We Are Soccer and Michigan Soccer Central Team of the Week. We had some nominations this week, really nice nominations, and one stood out to us. Let me put this on the screen here. Congratulations to the Schoolcraft College women's team. Let me find my notes. Number 17th ranked Schoolcraft defeated the number 4 ranked team Muskegon 3-1 this past week. They are now 3-1 overall with wins against St. Clair, Muskegon, and Ancilla. The Schoolcraft women's soccer team doing really well. I know some of their coaches, Scott Duell and Ken Shingledecker, great guys, good coaches. They are really getting that Schoolcraft women's team moving along. Honorary mention goes to Bishop Foley boys team as they beat Royal Oak Shrine for the first time since 2011.
Yes.
So hopefully we get a few more nominations in the coming weeks. I do want to say if you would like to nominate a team, make sure to hit up Michigan Soccer Central or We Are Soccer on our social channels and nominate your team. And it doesn't have to be for anything you've done on the field. It can be in the community and off the field events as well.
Yes. One more thing, MSC podcast this week. So we have Lewis Stevens from Rapid City, which is the new indoor soccer team over on the west side of the state in Grand Rapids. So Lewis Stevens, some of you guys know him, former Michigan State men's soccer player from Saginaw, Michigan. Does a lot of great things in the community over on the west side of the state in Grand Rapids. So he will be on. That interview will be coming up this week. And then he's got some DCFC, and then he's got some high school and might have a high school or college guest on this week. So not giving away too much, but just kind of teasing a little bit about what's coming on the MSC podcast. Find us on Spotify. Also follow the social medias, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You can like our Facebook page. And again, Spotify, leave a comment, share, whatever you can do.
Yep, give the Michigan Soccer Central guys a follow on all their socials, and they put out some great content. Be sure to follow them and like and share them as well. They're good friends of ours. All right, boys, I think what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick 5-minute break here. Everybody can top up on a beverage, get a break, and we will be back on the other side. See you guys soon. All right, welcome back. Hopefully everybody had a chance to get a drink and some snacks because we've got a whole hour left of We Are Soccer. I do want to say real quick a big thank you to Total Soccer. They kind of give us a little bit of a space here in one of the facilities, and that's where we have built out our studio. We have been having and still having little minor technical issues with some of the microphones. We're working it out. It will get better. Also, the studio will be changing as we move forward, slightly here and there. Got different backgrounds and different things. You'll see. Keep checking back in. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you don't like about our show. Feedback is very much appreciated. Even if it's bad, we can still learn. We're trying to get better every week to provide the best show we can. All right, now we're going to jump into a little bit of a Bundesliga chat time with our boy Nate.
When it's late at night and your league is canceled, what do? Bundesliga chat time.
He's been taking singing lessons.
Wasn't
That's
that
counterproductive because you said late at night,
Yeah.
but it's actually in the morning.
Well,
Well, we are at night here, but
depends
I
on when you
know.
watch the replay.
That's true.
That's absolutely
Yeah.
true.
Sorry, I didn't mean to put a hole in your.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying. I'm
You
assuming.
do that to me anyways, so.
I'm assuming that maybe that you had other things going on and you wanted to watch some soccer and there's no Premier League, so not unlandish.
That's
you're
true.
hungry. Maybe
That's
it's
true.
dinner
Fair
time
enough.
and you're having some schnitzel and strudel and you're like, hey.
Maybe one night we
Kielbasa?
can bring some schnitzel here and eat while we do Bundesliga chat time.
A
right,
little
Nate.
pretzel and some Weissen beer. Yeah, so here we go.
All right, what do we
Pretzel
got on
and
Bundesliga
cheese?
chat time this week, Nate?
Yeah, well,
Lead us away.
basically, this is Nate picks all the teams wrong week and forever and always because, hey, that's what I did. So, started the league week out with Friday, Bremen versus Augsburg. I thought for sure Bremen was going to snap a hole in Augsburg, and I was wrong. Augsburg won. Then Munich, as we talked about, played Stuttgart, and I thought for sure Munich was going to beat the shit out of Stuttgart, and I was delightfully wrong. Then Wolfsburg comes into Frankfurt, and I'm like, Frankfurt's on a roll, so they're going to win, right? Nope. Fuck you, Nate. Wolfsburg won. Then, all right, here we go. Hertha versus Leverkusen. I was like, there is no fucking way Leverkusen's going to lose. No way. It's Hertha Berlin. They barely made it out of the league last year. And Leverkusen's got all sorts of forwards, and they have a Chelsea player on loan, and they're gonna bounce back. No, they fucking tied. And then Leipzig versus Dortmund, and I was like, this is gonna be a draw because there's no way that a coach with 2 days with the team is gonna beat Leipzig beat the shit out of Dortmund. Hoffenheim beat the crap out of Mainz. Schalke got their first win against Bochum. And that was my Saturday roundup, and I just have decided that I'm not going to predict games anymore because it's pretty embarrassing. It is highly embarrassing.
So when we
made this
move
so
and start
dramatic.
doing-
It was.
Do you know how dramatic he just made?
I know.
Yes.
I know.
That's what I do. Sunday I was right. Sunday, Cologne versus Union Berlin. Union Berlin, the league leaders. Union Berlin, the number one team, and that's Union Berlin, not Bayern Munich. Just so you understand that in
Is
the
this breaking news?
Union
Breaking news! Union Berlin is number one in the Bundesliga. Fuck you, Bayern!
basically
Yes.
the people's champ. Union
The people have spoken!
But Union, actually, if you know history in Union Berlin, good for them. Hopefully they'll keep it up because their history is pretty much built of a team of supporters, people that actually built their stadium at one point. So Berlin had a really close, good game with a one Jorhan Pifuk providing another assist. His last name is now so comical and nobody knows what to call him.
Right.
It's just Jordan on the back.
Jordan.
So just call me Jordan.
Does he just have Jordan on the back?
Yeah, he
really?
just has Jordan on the back.
He's
And
like, I tried Sibachu, and that didn't
yeah,
work.
and
It's
then everyone
Pifuk.
got confused. So
Yeah, good call. Good job, Jordan.
Becker is now sitting there. Scheidlo Becker is racking in the goals for Union and is, I believe, the goal scoring leader for the Bundesliga, playing for Union Berlin with his partner Pifuk, and those guys are just on a roll constantly. Those two guys are together. Berlin scoring facts, and
Facts.
they beat a very good unbeaten Cologne team. Very back and forth, and it was a solid game.
It was the
Freiburg-
first time finish from the second goal, I believe, from the winger, was it?
It was there was a 1-0 win.
It was only the one goal then.
Yeah,
The
it was
first
only the
time
one goal.
finish.
It was the
Okay,
first time
sorry.
finish.
I watched part of the game, and I thought there were more goals.
No. Well, there was a bunch called off. So,
That was one. It was one that was called off sides.
Yep.
Okay.
So there was a bunch that were called off, but it was a solid effort. Solid back and forth game, and then Freiburg and Gladbach tied 0-0. So interesting news. And this is kind of in the realms of how long do you keep a manager, guys? All right, Leverkusen is 1-1-5. They are shitting all over the bed.
We're going to put the table up now so everybody can take a look.
So, yeah, they're not doing good. They're in the Champions League. They finished third last year. They're not doing good. Simone, the coach, they keep saying we got his back. But the question is, if you ran this club, how much longer would you allow this to go on? Because they, again, tying against Hertha Berlin, that should have been a win. Absolutely should have been a win. There are games here that, if you look at it for them, there's no way they should have lost. They shouldn't have lost the Pokal against a third division team. They shouldn't have lost to Augsburg. They shouldn't have lost to Club Brugge, if you ask me, and they shouldn't be tying Hertha. So how long do you keep them in? And that piggybacks, too, because the return of Marco Rose for Leipzig, Dortmund hasn't been doing that well. Mm-hmm. And then Marco Rose jumps in, maybe fired a little bit too early, and pumps them 3-0 with a 2-day prep. So how long do you keep your coach if he's struggling at this point?
I mean, they're sitting in 17th out of 18. They got 4 points, right? There's one tie, one win. They're not. They are within. They're within striking distance. They're one win away from getting into, almost 10th spot. So I think he personally, and I know the Bundesliga merry-go-round and the theme park that has going on with it. I mean, I got to be honest. I give the guy to 10 games and say, listen, if you're in the bottom 3 after 10 games, adios. There's going to be managers available. Other clubs are going to fire.
I'm making an analogy here between a good old MLS team that's in second place now.
Okay. That
was a little focused on CONCACAF Champions League, and once they got through that, unfortunately they were eliminated. That they kind of found their way, and I think they got a little CF Montreal going here at the beginning of the season, where the first 4, 5, 6 games they had trouble finding their way, but then eventually once they got knocked out of CONCACAF Champions League, that kind of just hadn't focused on the league now instead of focused on Champions League. So it sounds like Leverkusen are all in on UEFA Champions League, and that's kind of just really just kind of breaking things up here in the Bundesliga.
If they're all in that UEFA Champions League, they lost to Club Brugge their first game 1-0. So
you can be all in and still not have results. That's very common.
They're struggling.
That's very common.
Okay, so you guys should hold on to it. So Marco Rose coming in for Leipzig, though.
Balance is life.
But Marco Rose now coming in for Leipzig, and Leipzig looking impressive against Dortmund. And Leipzig, who is a good team. They're a very good team. That's why Tedesco was groomed out, the former coach, because they weren't doing good. $1 million question for you. Leipzig's in the Champions League. They play Madrid. They had 1 loss. So they're still kind of in it, still early. Are you bought or sold for Leipzig getting out of their group? And their group is Shakhtar, who's number 1. That's who they lost against. Madrid and Celtic.
No, they're not getting out of the group.
They're not getting out.
No, they're not getting out of the group. No. They're going to end up having to focus on the league too much, and they're going to end up not focusing on Champions League because they realize if they do focus on Champions League, what are the chances of them actually winning the Champions League? Slim to none. So you might as well focus on your league to try to improve your league standing so you don't get relegated and left behind. Okay. So in my opinion, no, they do not get out of the group because they'll put all their eggs in the Bundesliga league basket.
Yes, because they have the best chance of winning.
No, I don't think they'll win the Bundesliga, but I think they got to get into the top 4 in order to get
Qualify again,
to
yes.
qualify again.
But I'm just saying
Because
that's
when you
if you
qualify,
really
you get more money and more status, and you're able to get more players.
Yes.
If you make it to the quarterfinals of the Champions League and lose, and then you finish 9th or 10th in the Bundesliga,
Yeah.
you're not going to be able to recruit better players for the next year.
Fair,
So-
but like if you know you're not going to win Champions League. I mean, what's your next best thing to win the league, Bundesliga, to try to win it, and then
Sure.
try to also win the other competitions within the league. So to gain
Nate?
trophies to attract
Agreed.
players.
Nate, your thoughts? Where do you answer your own question, please?
I think they're going to get out.
You think they'll get out,
I think they're going to get out. I think
even after getting pumped?
Leipzig, who beat Dortmund with their new coach with 2 days prep, I think will get out of their group. Dortmund, I think, will also get out of their group. But I think Leipzig is going to. I think Rose is going to turn around. I'm kind of confident of it. I think you look at this talent of the team. I think he's using them.
How's Werner looked since he came back?
Not bad.
See,
Not bad.
Yeah,
So-
see, they got him back feeling comfortable. That
Not
could be
bad.
interesting. So I could see Nate's point.
So last one, and this is the hypothetical. So there is a situation with a Wolfsburg player, and at the end of a match, basically Max Cruz, who was with Union before, and just transferred over, and he's
Yeah.
kind of a stalwart.
Yeah.
Niko Kovac, the coach, basically said he's permanently booted him off the team, and he's done. He says he doesn't fit our style, said it openly in an interview, he doesn't fit his style.
He was good for the prior team he played for.
So his response was, I decide when my time in the Bundesliga is over. So here's just a hypothetical question. You get interviewed, you just get told that you're no longer on the team, you're looking for another. What would Craig Hearn and Brooks have to say if the shoe was on the other foot?
It's a great question. So he's been told you're not playing, you're no longer.
You're gone. You're done.
We don't want you anymore.
Yep. Not only he was told, but
we
the coach
still-
said it openly.
They still have to pay a salary because
Yep.
of the contract that's been signed by both sides. I mean, you can tell the truth unless there's something in there that says, listen, unless there's something written in the contract, you can't disparage the club because we are paying you even though no matter what happens. But, I mean, give an interview, you say, I'm planning on leaving as soon as possible and I would like someone to come in with an offer and we're open to negotiations and look to play. I mean, this happens all the time in England.
Yeah.
There's a new manager comes in and tells a player, listen, tell your
No,
agent to find a new club for you.
He
And
also said that the coach also said this openly in the
Sure.
in the process. Why I know.
so everybody's aware, right?
Yeah,
Everyone's aware of the situation.
situation.
I mean, I don't know. I'd say it's an unfortunate situation. It sucks. Someone else I would love to play in the Bundesliga. Anybody interested?
Yeah.
I mean,
Brooks?
that's the only thing you can do.
What would your words be
Man, that's tough. Like as a player, because
as a player?
the question was it the coach's decision to buy him or was it the upper staff?
I'm trying to remember. I don't.
'Cause that's
I
just
think
like a double
I think he
hit.
was- I think he was brought in.
Probably prior management,
I think
right?
he was brought in prior to Kovac.
But you
Okay.
also have to understand if you shit on the club,
yeah.
what new club wants to take a chance on you?
Yep.
Listen to what he just said. So you want me to bring this guy in who shit on the prior club, who's paying him, even though they're treating him poorly, they're shitting all over him. You want me to bring this guy in? There's second thoughts. I mean, clubs
I
are gonna
think
say,
that's
"What do I
where
wanna
you
do?"
really have to meet with the player and you got to discuss the situation, 1v1. To be honest with you,
Well,
if
it
you
was,
want,
and that was, and then now it's open.
if you want to bring in the player, no, that's what I'm saying. If you're inquiring about a player, interested about him, you need to speak with the agent. You need to speak with people that know the person to see, is this how he is? Does he act out like this? What can we do? So, for me, it's I don't know. I mean, if he's worth the risk, take him. To me, if like someone wants to buy him,
I mean, I think he's gonna go somewhere else in the league.
Yeah.
For sure.
but I just think it's bad when a coach comes out publicly like that.
Yeah.
Like that's something that you keep within your you keep
And
within the club.
He was a starter a couple times this
Yeah,
year too.
because it just makes you look bad as a coach.
So I
It's
have
like,
a feeling Nate's going to tell us exactly what he said, right?
Yes.
Well, that's what Max Cruz just said. I'll decide when my time in the Bundesliga is over. Is what he said.
That's a very professional answer.
What I would say is,
Sure.
I look forward to playing him against him in the future.
Sure.
There's something that, and I would use that, and I would go to somewhere, and I would make sure that I started and pumped him full of goals and laughed at him.
Absolutely.
So we'll see. Max Cruz is a bit on the move, a bit of a star. I think there's a couple teams out there that could use him, that could pick him up. We'll see what happens there, even though he's kind of of an age, but he's not a bad forward. He's not a bad target forward if you need him. Honestly, if he went to Stuttgart, I would not.
You'd be pretty happy.
Wouldn't be happy. Goal of the week: Kemrick, Hoffenheim, overhead kick. Go watch it.
Ooh.
It was pretty damn amazing. It was one of the four that went in for Hoffenheim who are looking good. Sitting in fourth. So right now the table, if you look at it, Union is sitting up there undefeated. 4 wins, 2 draws. Freiburg, 4-1-1.
Mm-hmm.
Bayern Munich, even though they haven't lost, 3-3 is not very good for them. It's very close within that table. It's very, very tight as normal. And you still have a few teams, unfortunately, Stuttgart and
wins,
and no wins.
5 draws.
So Stuttgart, no wins. We're just gonna continue drawing. It'll be
It's like Nashville SC of Bundesliga.
I mean,
yeah, exactly.
They're sitting 14th though, and they're not. I mean, they get a couple wins here, and they're up in there. But their goal is not to get relegated for the most part. Coming second year after relegation, then welcome there as no wins, no draws, no nothing. Can't wait for that coach to get canned. Right above him, Leverkusen, and I don't know how Simone has a job. He'll be on the door soon.
Mm-hmm.
Niko Kovac, I think, saved his job by winning against Frankfurt, and with their first win in the league. So we'll see. We'll monitor that situation a little bit more, and that's basically it for the Bundesliga chat time.
That's your Bundesliga chat time for this week, starting September 11th. All right, well done, Nate. Love the wrap up. I love it. Next week, we got a lot of different things to talk about with Bundesliga and MLS. So right now, why don't we jump into MLS Roundup? This week's MLS Roundup is brought to you by Next Level Training, because a lot of those MLS players train with Aaron Bird and Next Level Training. Specifically, one of my favorite players in the MLS, Kellen Acosta, who we interviewed last year and is a very nice dude, U.S. men's national team player as well. The other day, I was actually walking past the Next Level Training facility and watching some of the stuff they were doing. It's unbelievable what they have these. I was watching, I think they were 9 and 10-year-old kids. Some of the things they were doing in the hour session with these kids is just crazy how technical it is and how these kids are just grasping onto it. What I really like about Next Level Training is the kids don't stand around. There's no standing, there's no talking. It's go, go, go. And they show the kids the technical piece of the game. They're not training tactics, they're training on the technical skills of a game. Aaron Bird, Next Level Training, do an excellent job. If you're looking to get extra training, I highly recommend Next Level Training. Next-leveltraining.com is where you can visit them at. As I said, they've trained a lot of MLS players. So why don't we jump in, segue there, into MLS Roundup as Brooks tells us the big games that happen, the big games coming up, who's making the playoffs, who's missing the playoffs, and the big news this week. All right, Brooks, let's jump in. MLS time. MLS. All right. Well, how are we starting? MLS Roundup this week?
Yes. Well, before, I just want to also mention with Next Level that Aaron is a very dear friend of mine, and with the youth players he trains, as well as the collegiate and lower division pro and MLS players and national team players, I always go to his trainings because that's a great way for me to see the kids and scout them. And he's a great source that I definitely really value his opinion. So if you need any more about Next Level Training and Aaron and his expertise and him developing players, look no further than a scout going to ask for his advice and watching him train players. So just add that a little to the Next Level Training.
Love it.
Okay.
Love it.
And we'll turn the page to MLS Roundup.
Let's do it.
Yes. So, I mean, listen, the big one, Columbus just dropping points again. Tying 2-2. It was a good result. At Montreal, but as I said last week, I mean, Columbus is very much sitting at the edge of the table here with 3 points ahead of the Revolution.
Currently in 7th right now, Columbus, right?
Yes.
They're sitting in a playoff spot, but
Yes, it's close. It's close. And Cincy's right there in Orlando, but it's just people like as I said, the Caleb Porter era. Who knows how much longer it goes to Columbus, because he tends to get on these streaks where he does extremely well, and then he kind of falls off the table a little bit as he progresses into years 2, 3, 4, and 5 with clubs. It's consistent, but it's cutting stuff on close. So
sure.
No, Columbus 2-2 draw was a good result away, obviously, but they need to continue to get 3 points here with honestly, I mean, it's 34 game season, so as we can see, some teams have 31 games, some have 30, some have 29. Now Columbus do have 29 games played, so they do have that's 5 in hand they do left to play, so they do have some whereas teams above them have 31 and 30, so that'll be helpful for them, but they need results and they need to win at home, that's for sure. Dropping the 2 points to the Chicago Fire last week with the 0-0 draw did not help them. So another one to me is the LA Galaxy. I think they've really dropped points as well. Kind of what we talked about with the Chicharito Panenka. That would have gave them the 3-2 win over a struggling SKC.
That would have moved them up into the playoff contention. They're in 7th if they
and
won
if
the
they
game. Right now they're in 8th, 3 points behind.
Yeah, and they did tie Nashville, which is actually a good result. So if you get 4 points from that, I mean that's not bad, in honesty. So a big win for me, honestly, was they struggled to find the results. After LAFC went down to 10 men early in the game, was FC Dallas versus LAFC. So for me, that was it was a crazy game. I mean, the first goal for Ferreira came off a quick restart where it was a foul, low outside the box on the side by the end line. It was a very quick free kick that was taken and played Ferreira in the box, and he slips it by the keeper, Crépeau, who had one hell of a save, which I did share via Twitter. We make sure I tagged We Are Soccer on that one. Was one hell of a save off I believe it was a Ferreira shot, if I'm not mistaken. But Maxime Crépeau stood on his head. And then Ferreira getting a free kick goal. He's kind of done a number on Maxime Crépeau. Early in the season, he had a free kick from distance where Crépeau was off his line, and he misjudged it, and he lofted it right over his head into the goal. He tried it again, Ferreira's in that game, and it didn't work, but he's gotten him a number of times, and he's done a number of times against Seattle. But if we're looking at this from a U.S. men's national team perspective, that's 2 more goals. That puts him, I think, he's tied for the most goals in FC Dallas in a season,
He's
all time.
Is he on the plane? I mean, Ferreira's having.
I think we already had this conversation.
We did. We already had this conversation.
We already said he was.
Yeah, we did. We said he's on the plane.
He was on my iffy list.
Well,
but I
that's
think
because you're not as smart as us. So
That's
what can I
probably
tell
true.
you?
Yes.
I don't know what to
That's
tell
probably
you.
Yeah.
But he is putting the ball in the net right
Yes.
now, and at a consistent rate, which is what you need for the U.S. men's. So that's great to see.
Yes.
He scored a great goal the other day.
Yes.
As I was watching.
So TFC dropping points again. I just don't think it's going to happen this year. I mean, listen, they're 34 points. DC United's eliminated. They're in 14th with 27.
Wayne Rooney and DC United are gone.
Yeah, they did play a young 15, 16-year-old center back. He went young. He went young
and
this
Benteke
past game, and they they tied RSL.
And Benteke is getting on the field a little bit there
Yes.
too. I think next year will be the year for Benteke. I don't know if DC United are going to do so well, but I bet you Benteke will, in my opinion.
Correct.
He's going to take this league by storm.
Correct. Seattle with the big win against Austin, 3-0, as Nate has his Rave Green Seattle Sounders jersey on.
There you go.
Nice,
I actually
nice.
got this in Seattle. Like all my jerseys, I actually pick them up usually at the games that I attend.
Nice.
Yes. Big win for Portland, 1-0 against Minnesota. So the team, I always say, oh, no one likes us. Well, look how far they've dropped down. Portland's jumped them. They are a point ahead in 5th with 45. They've played 31. Minnesota still has 4 more games to play versus Portland with 3. But Adrian Heath's team not heading in the right direction there. So, I mean, you got some teams fighting and scrapping. Colorado, Vancouver. Colorado winning 3-1 against Vancouver. They're sitting 10-11 there. They're still in it. Both have 4 games in hand. So, there's been some interesting results. Chicago with the win. I just don't think the Chicago Fire will be able to scrap enough points at the end here to make the playoffs, which is not good, especially with signing Shaqiri and a couple of their acquisitions. So you got to wonder with a MLS original club like the Chicago Fire, what's going on over there? That's the question there. And, playing in Soldier Field was a good idea. They're playing in Bridgeview.
It's not good.
Yeah.
I was there for a game, and it was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Yeah.
I've never seen a more emptier building.
Yeah.
It was not good.
Yeah.
Even if you have like 10,000 in there, which wouldn't be bad for a 15, 20,000 person, venue.
Mm-hmm.
You put 10,000 and 60,000 a stadium.
Yeah. Looks like no one's there.
No one's there.
That's the tough part. And, the question is if the Bears moved outside the city to Arlington Heights, which they are, how much do they reconfigure Soldier Field and want to put the money in? And
Right.
what do they want to do? So
Big changes needed in Chicago on the field and off the field.
Yes,
as we can see.
and a training facility is supposed to be happening. We'll see what happens there. 2 big wins, just want to mention. Philadelphia still scoring goals. Holy smokes, 5-1. They beat Orlando after, and we'll talk about the U.S. Open Cup here in a second, obviously. And then I'll give a congratulations to FC Cincy, who have finally found their way, and hopefully they make the playoffs this year. San Jose going the total opposite way after the Matias Almeida situation throughout this year that did not work. There are a lot of heads butting in there, and I just think Almeida wanted out. He had such a big buyout clause that I think, it just, for the longest time they held on, and they finally let him go. And now he's over in Greece, I believe, coaching Matias Almeida. Wow. But San Jose still not going in the right direction, especially with the club that has some fantastic young youth players up and coming that you may see in the next few years here. So Dallas the big win. Obviously, Austin dropping points, so that makes it very close for FC Dallas to sneak up on Austin 2 points behind. LAFC have clinched a spot, but they are not. They talked about maybe breaking the Supporters Shield points and beating the Revs. Looks like that will not happen. They do have 4 games, but Austin FC is closing in with 9 points. So they have the same amount of games left, 4 to play. So that'll be interesting. Nashville was on the line for a while. Now they sit in the top 4. So obviously Gary Smith doing a very good job there, along with Nashville SC with their deep roster they have, and honestly not getting the sexiest players, but finding the right players that can score goals like a Mukhtar, finding your Walker Zimmerman, drafting a guy like Jack Mayer out of IU who's filled in at times, getting a guy like Romney from LA Galaxy. So they've done a very good job, Mike Jacobs, constructing that team. Red Bull winning, and Red Bulls, I don't think many people thought Red Bull were going to be as high as in the top 4, but they are sitting ahead of New York City FC. They are 4 points ahead, and both teams have 3 games left. So, so overall, that is that for the results of this week, and then just a few games, to watch. I think Inter Miami and Columbus on the 13th here, so we have Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday, and some play, and we have a few Sunday games this week. So a lot of MLS before the end of the season. So for me, I think, if you're watching teams that are close and on the line, you want to watch Inter Miami and Columbus. So that's going to be an interesting one on Tuesday night, the 13th at 8 p.m. That'll be on ESPN+. And then, I forgot, we do have the Campeones Cup Wednesday the 14th. So that is the MLS Cup champion New York City FC will play Atlas, who are the Liga MX league champs. So that'd be 7:30 p.m. That's going to be ESPN2. So that's part of some of the stuff that MLS and Liga MX are doing now, and they've done for the past few years. I believe Columbus beating last year or the year before, so they won in 2020, right? So it's 2021. Yeah. So yes, they did win their match last year. A couple other matches to watch here. You have LA Galaxy needing to beat Vancouver on the road on the 14th of September. So that's going to be important for the LA Galaxy. We have a nice derby match on the 17th of September, which is Saturday. And weird, it's on ESPN Plus for a derby match, but 1 p.m., that is NYCFC will host New York Red Bull at Yankee Stadium.
The reason that's on ESPN Plus is because college football is on.
Jesus.
Sorry to
I know, they always bump it off. There. I know.
Well, there's a... Oh, Nate, go ahead.
I thought MLS is more popular in college football.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far.
In my eyes, but
Yeah, it's
in my eyes, too.
Yes.
Yep,
In your eyes,
sorry.
yes.
Your eyes, do-do-do-do, your eyes, do-do-do-do, your eyes. I want to watch MLS to your eyes.
Last match, just cover here, is Cascadia rivalry. Vancouver hosts Seattle, 10 p.m. on Saturday. So that'll be on ESPN Plus as well. Good Cascadia rivalries. And there's plenty of other games to watch. So get ESPN Plus, watch some MLS. It's going to be quite a finish here to the season. So
you know what's also on ESPN Plus?
Bundesliga.
And you know what's also on ESPN Plus?
La Liga.
And you want to know what's also on ESPN Plus?
USL?
USL Champions.
Oh,
I like the little segue there, Nate.
Yeah.
Yes, we will talk about USL
ESPN Plus, if you're looking for sponsors in lower end podcast market.
That's us.
And we can sing.
As you can see from the MLS roundup with Brooks there, a lot of storylines.
we are better than the guys at ESPN FC. Let's be honest.
We are.
Let's be honest with this.
Definitely.
Yeah.
One, we have more fun. Two, none of us know anything about basketball.
Yeah.
No,
Facts!
no idea.
All facts.
Definitely facts.
Well, I can tell you this. I can outbench everyone else in that.
Let's just go with 90% of them. You can out
On the soccer
90%.
I do like the guys on Sirius
The
XM.
soccer level.
Sirius MFC does what's his? It's no more Tony Miola and Dunny anymore because Dunny left.
Dunseth left, but I think
He's got his other show.
He's doing a little bit in the morning with Grumpy Pundits, which I hope he does a lot more
Yes.
of. I want to see Tom Rennie and Dunseth in the morning with Grumpy Pundits.
Yes.
And maybe one or two of the other guys.
Fun fact, I can also bench more than them, too.
Yep.
Yes.
You got to take the wins where you can get them, buddy.
Yeah.
All right?
I would bet money on.
Anyways.
All right, let's jump in and talk about the USL Championship with our local hometown team, Detroit City FC, who won big last night. A big game at Colorado Switchbacks. I mean, that was...
I told you it was going to be a tough game. You didn't
that
believe
puts
me.
them in playoff
I never said I didn't
contention.
believe you. I just said they were going to win.
They are going to win. They are on their way to the playoffs in their first season in USL Championship.
You admitted to me that there was
I don't recall anything. Anyways,
it's in the group text, which is
it's
private.
don't look behind the curtain, Brooks.
Yep.
Then you'll see the wizard. All right.
All right, I do want to put up a quick graphic here for our friends at the MUSL, Michigan United Soccer League. If you are looking to head to Keyworth Stadium for the September 17th game, that is a week from yesterday, 6 days from today, 7:30 kickoff at Keyworth against the Tampa Bay Rowdies. There is cheap tickets, $9 general admission on sale. Get your tickets now because this game will sell out.
So if you're not heading there, I don't know what the fuck you're doing with life. Because here's the situation. They win, unless my math is totally fucked up, which could be. It's like my spelling. But they win. Yeah, I ran out of fingers and toes. If they win that game, they clinch the playoff spot.
Yep.
If they tie it and Tulsa loses, they clinch the playoff spot.
Clinch?
So,
They don't clench.
clench, clatch, whatever. Clinch, whatever. Don't care. Anyways, bench more than you. Anyways, so that's a hugely important game right now, where they could end up walking out that night with their first ever USL playoff championship spot.
A berth. And it's just huge for the club for being the first year in a huge league.
And they could probably rake you over the coals with these fucking tickets if they really wanted to under the situation, because this is kind of a historic event for the club. It could be if they tie or win. It absolutely could be like a moment in fucking history. So you can pay $9 and have a moment of history. Maybe run into Nate with his daughter, who will be at the game walking around.
I'll be there.
Yeah,
I'll be there.
Craig's gonna be there. He'll sign an
Nate's gonna be
autograph.
there. Craig's going to be there, and Brooks will tell us he'll be there.
It just depends if I have a college game or something. The fall's a busy time for me. How many games did I go to at the end of the spring into the summer?
Hey, you
Come
have a
on.
chance to be at history.
Next
College. Yeah, let's do the next moment of history that comes along once in
Sorry, I
my
have to do
lifetime.
other things.
Next
Like
What if
Boo
it
that
rains?
man.
Can you just...
All right.
I'll wear a rain
Wait,
jacket.
let's go back to the Switchbacks game, because that
Yep,
was
all right,
that was
all right, I want to hear
that
your-
was a solid game. Like, I watched the whole thing because now I'm super
Is that stadium that Switchbacks play in not just beautiful?
That is a
What
beautiful stadium.
Great looking stadium, great looking field.
They built that very well.
Yeah,
Yep.
they do. They did very
And-
well.
and that-
but let's go on to the game and the contents in the stadium.
I think DCSC struggled a bit, if you ask me, in the beginning, and found their form a little bit just based on the size of the field that they were playing on, because it looked incredibly bigger. Like, it looked a more of a normal size stadium, 120 by 75.
Is that not?
It's like Louisville City. There's
Right.
like a full
Right.
stadium.
Is that not most GCFC games this year though?
Yep.
They struggle in the beginning. They don't give up goals, but they struggle to get a grips on the game.
Yep.
And the more the game goes on, they just seem to
Yeah, they fall
wear
into it.
teams
They
down.
fall into it.
They just wear
Absolutely.
them down with this grindy grittiness. And it's not pretty soccer. Detroit City do not play pretty soccer. I mean, some of the goals they score are pretty, but overall in a 90-minute game,
grinded out
it's
soccer,
a grinded
which I
out,
call.
which
gets you results. Hey, listen, how many English teams in the past
agreed.
and now play that way?
Oh, yeah.
And just to stay alive or to get to the middle of the table.
But for a team, again, I'll say it, for the first year in the USL Championship, there's nothing wrong with it. Grind it out. Keep yourself in the games and see if you can steal one. That's the way they've done it, and that's what they did last night again.
So
right?
Steinwasser wasn't playing that game.
Yeah, can someone explain to me what's going
No,
on
no,
there?
I
Was
mean,
it
I
an
don't.
injury or was it yellow card
have we
accumulation?
They-
got confirmation or anything?
Nothing. The announcers, nobody said anything about yellow card or
Bizarre that it wasn't
They
mentioned.
flat out just said personal reasons or something like
They
that.
did the.
He is a part-time CPA. Maybe he had to
True.
come back and help someone with their taxes.
Maybe.
starting now.
Yes,
but,
Super Nate, Super Tax Man.
But
Yes.
DCFC did just pick up another goalkeeper this week.
And he didn't play.
Right. And
It
he
was
didn't play.
Ryan-
He's the third string.
Joe Rice on loan from New England
Right.
Revs
So
too.
there's something going on
So,
here.
Ryan
that
Cello's-
that Steinwasser may need to miss a little
Maybe.
bit more time than
They
expected.
got her in training.
So Ryan,
Check the photos.
it didn't say he was injured, so who knows? But Ryan Cello did start that game and actually did very well. Actually came up with a clutch save in the middle of the game that kept them in it for sure. And that second goal that was scored was absolutely phenomenal
Oh, yeah.
from that ball in and
Yep.
that first time strike. It was absolutely phenomenal. So. Good game all around. Very entertaining game, I thought. And it was good to see him come out with the win there, and hopefully they can keep the ball rolling.
Yeah, I meant to put a bet on last night on DCFC going away from home and winning that game, but unfortunately I was out of town and got kind of caught up with soccer activities for my kids, so unfortunately missed it. And then all of a sudden the text scores started coming through. So it was unfortunate, but a great win. A very valuable 3 points. Again, Detroit City haven't won a game at home since May
Till
1st.
this weekend.
This Saturday.
They said they only need a point
Tampa
or
Bay
a
is going
win,
down.
right?
Tampa Bay, one of the
No,
best teams in the league, by the way, going down.
A win, they don't have to rely on anything. A win gets them through, and then it doesn't
Isn't
matter.
Tulsa this weekend?
Tulsa's this weekend too, I believe. If Tulsa loses and they tie, they go ahead. So win, it doesn't matter the result of Tulsa.
Right.
If they win,
Tulsa's in a
they're-
weird situation too because they have a new coach coming in next year who is Blair Gavin, who was actually an assistant on the Columbus Crew staff. So there's a lot of changes going on in there, but they're still fighting for a spot. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Some great knowledge there from Brooks, spitting
Yes.
it out. And USL Championship coaches, love it.
I have
I'm
my
actually-
sources.
Sorry. Tulsa doesn't play this weekend.
They're not playing Tulsa this
They
weekend.
play the following weekend against DCFC.
Okay.
Oh.
So
DCFC technically have this in their own hands.
Yes.
Win this
Yep.
weekend, wrap it up.
And
if
they're
they
done.
draw this weekend, even if they lose, then they can go to Tulsa and beat Tulsa and wrap a playoff berth themselves. So
It's Tampa this Saturday.
Yeah, Tampa Bay Rowdies.
My bad.
this Saturday,
Sorry, yeah. My bad.
But Detroit City FC have it all to play for, and it's in their own hands. Their own destiny's in their hands. So it's great. Excellent to see. Speaking of USL Championship teams, we had one in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup this past week. Wednesday, they played down in Orlando against Orlando City. Scoreless until I think it was the 80th minute or something like that. It was a pretty back and forth game, and Sacramento Republic held their own against MLS side.
highly impressed with the physicality
absolutely.
within that game.
Highly impressed
That
with
went in.
Sacramento and how well they did. They didn't
Yeah.
just sit in and sit back and
Yep.
hunker down.
And that
They went at it.
score line does not dictate the game.
Agreed.
Because it
Two
was
mistakes by Sacramento in the back.
it was
two
a-
quick goals.
Well, it was a very
Too bad
even
playing
match.
out of the back
Yeah,
mistakes.
Yeah.
unfortunate.
It was a very even match until that 75th
So,
minute
yeah,
where they
75-ish,
where they
yeah.
coughed up the ball and they scored, and then at that point it opened them up.
But
Until that point, it was 100% anyone's game.
But I would say this: you paid a lot of money for Facundo Torres to come in and play for your team, who's a star international Peruvian player, I believe. And he did deliver with that first goal. That was a great first-time finish in the upper corner that I thought Vitello maybe could have got to. I was pretty impressed with him when I saw him play at DCFC. But you can kind of tell with the shot stopper, but the lack of athleticism to spring off his back foot to get to that shot. So
that was a
Yes.
great finish.
Yes.
And I think the substitution by Orlando City to bring in Michel Benny to really is what changed up that game.
yeah, Benji
right?
Michel.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Benny Michel. Yeah, to bring him in and change up because
He's been dynamic for him, and he's a
quick
kid, was an
and
academy
hustles.
player for him. He played at the University of Portland for
That changed
a
the
number of
game.
years, and he's got athleticism can change the game, and that's
Well, that
as we
was
say, speed kills.
yeah.
And that was my worry with the whole time with Sacramento is I said as soon as a goal goes in, they're gonna
The
struggle.
third goal by Michel was pretty impressive, to
what
be
a
honest
goal.
with you.
Oh yeah, what a great finish on the run there to the far side.
Yeah.
But how
Absolutely, low
impressive
hunt.
was Sacramento going out there, going toe to toe?
Oh, yeah.
They put in some monster tackles. That
They
that
created chances.
Casey, that the right to center back. Man, that guy is a warrior. That dude he got knocked in the head a few times. Had to get checked on a few times. It didn't leave the game. Hats off to Sacramento.
Connor Donovan, the former, he got drafted from NC State to play for Orlando City. So the former Orlando City player play against his own team. We kind of forget though, you have a guy like Kiko Gatan who played over in Spain, I believe, and then you have the center mid, the number 8, Lopez was his name, I
Yeah,
believe.
they got quite a collection of international
They
do.
players.
A bunch of
He
Yeah.
played for.
International
So
players,
he
yeah.
played for. He did play for. Back in the day, Chivas USA.
Oh.
And he played for a very long time. And then he actually was looking for a job. He went into construction. Then he got called back into pro soccer. And I mean, he's kind of had the ups and downs of his career, but you can see how much he means to a team. I thought Jack the Gur was very good, the English lad. Foster impressed me, the Jamaican international.
Yep.
I thought he pressed well. I thought he had moments, but you can just kind of see the little tad difference of the moments when someone needs to be beat 1v1 or a final pass needs to be made where it's just not there at the USL level.
Yep.
And I think as this league keeps growing and as you see MLS clubs maybe spend more to build the roster with more depth with international or taking academy players, that you may see, maybe higher level college players or you'll see some players drop down to USL, and that may increase, the value and play of the league.
And that's the difference between the MLS and the USL Championship, right? It's that little bit of skill, that little bit of speed and accuracy. It's not a ton. There's not this wide gulf. It's the little bit in each player, and it showed. Orlando City held its ground, kept wearing Sacramento down, and then just took advantage of mistakes, and that's the difference in the leagues. Which is, to be honest, That was a really entertaining game.
It was an awesome game.
I was
A lot up and down.
It was an
thoroughly
awesome
impressed.
game. I think it was a great showing for both leagues.
Yep.
I think if you don't watch USL or you don't watch MLS and you turned into that game, I think you saw two very class teams from two different leagues really putting on a show and an effort.
Yeah.
And I think both leagues won out and looked really good, in my opinion.
100%. I mean, I was the whole game just sitting there clapping and rooting Sacramento on. It was highly impressive, and I hope every year a USL Championship team can get to that final and really push an MLS team like that, because two MLS teams going at it's kind of boring. Especially when I don't have one to root for myself, so I'll root for the underdog every time. It's great to see.
Would be nice, but it would probably never happen in this world ever, is if the USL winner played the MLS winner every year. I think that
It'd be nice to see at the end of the season. It'd be nice to
call
see
it like the USA Championship or something like that.
Yeah, we have another trophy, between the leagues or something like US World Championship.
That'd be
But
good.
what I would like to see though is I would like to see a USL team win this so they can get into the CONCACAF Champions League to see what they can do against, other teams from other
Could
countries.
you imagine a USL championship?
Well, it's
team?
expanding, so it's
I mean, it'd be
expanding
great to
as
see.
we know, as we've read, we talked about, the competition's
Yep.
expanding.
Yep.
I don't know how much it's going to expand to USL teams, but it'd be nice to see them showcase what they can do, like CPL teams have.
Well, and I think competition, in my opinion, competition always breeds good stuff, or can.
Yep.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with USL pushing MLS to be a better league, and vice versa. I mean, their USL doesn't need to be pushed; they're trying to catch up. But I do not see any issue with USL pushing MLS. I hope more money comes into that league, because I think it is a very good league.
Yep. Agreed. 100%. All right, Nate.
Yo,
Are you looking for new soccer boots?
you know what? I am. Want to know why?
Why? What happened?
Because I got injured in a game and they mysteriously disappeared.
Huh.
Maybe
Well-
God was telling me to retire, but I said, F that
No.
noise, I'm coming back.
So
If
you're-
only I had boots.
Yeah. You're looking for new boots. Hey,
Yep.
Brooks, are you looking for a new jersey?
Always.
Well, I got the place for you guys to go.
Go on.
Soccer World, here in Metro Detroit.
I've
with
heard of
3 great locations. Or visit them online at soccerworld.net. You can find soccer boots and any soccer jersey that you like.
I'm looking for a Brighton Hove and Albion one. Can I find one there?
I'm pretty sure if you go online, you can order one through their website.
Ah,
but I
okay.
personally love going into the store, because one thing I do not like doing is ordering soccer boots online, having them show up at my house and going, those don't feel right, or the fit isn't there. So I personally go into the Brighton location and try on soccer boots, and I take my son there as well, because his feet are growing, and every 4 to 5 months he needs a new pair of boots. So we go to the Brighton location and we try on soccer boots. He walks around, kicks a ball. Guess who comes away with new boots? Him and me. So if you guys are looking for any type of soccer gear, visit soccerworld.net or any of their 3 Metro Detroit locations. I have yet to go to the Rochester store, but I hear...
I was
be
born and
closer
raised
for
in the
me.
Rochester store. What do you mean you have yet to go to the Rochester store?
I hear it is absolutely phenomenal, so I've got
Probably
to
the
get over
closest
there.
one for me.
I used to live in Rochester, as the closest one. Hey, Craig, though, question. If you have big, weird feet like I do they have an expert staff to help you and guide you through your soccer cleat selection?
Yes, they do, Nate.
That's fantastic.
Yes, you'll be able to find whatever you're looking for. All right, visit soccerworld.net. They're our friends. Tell them We Are Soccer sent you, and we definitely would appreciate that. All right, guys, I got one last thing for you.
I got one comment on Facebook
all right.
before we get to it.
Let's do it.
Kurt's
Kurt's been all over the comments.
all over it, and
Thank you,
I
Kurt.
think he had the best comment of tonight. He agrees with me. Not sure what he agrees with me on, but I'm going to take it. I'm going to frame it, and that's another one for Nate.
I think we need to print
Yeah,
that
hang
off.
on. Can we have like a comment wall for native whenever they
This
agree
is
with
true.
them?
That's
Definitely a
when they agree with me.
I agree with you.
Tell that asshole to shut. Why is he so loud? Why can't he pronounce things?
All right, well, I do want to show you something. I was in a tournament. Oh, my son was in a tournament this past weekend up north in Petoskey. And, well, they do not have a full-time goalie for their U10 team. They take turns playing goalie. So this is what my son did during his 15 minutes in goal. He proceeded to dance. He is doing the robot.
Love it.
My son did this for, I swear to you, he must have done this for 12 minutes of the 15 minutes he was on the field. The parents on our
I think
team,
he's walking like an Egyptian.
Yeah,
like that song. Is the 80s song? Yeah,
I
there you
don't
go.
know. I mean, he was doing this robot dance, and then he does this little twist, and
How old is he again?
he is 9.
9?
He is 9.
I coached a kid once who was 8, and I had the best goalkeeper story from him. It was diabolically good. He was one of those kids who was good to actually watch the game. And we were pumping a team, and he was like, "Coach, can I go a goal?" And I'm like, "Sure, Stefan. I don't care." Right? Like it was one of those games. I go, "You gonna show?" He's like, "I'm gonna show you my moves." I'm like, "Oh, so you're gonna make diving saves and stuff like that?" And he goes, "No." All right. And let's see. I don't even care. Ball rolls to him, picks it up, looks left, looks right, drops it on the ground, proceeds to dribble. Actually, he was probably younger than 8. I think he was only 7. He just dribbled the whole all the way down, scores, and he's just going like he's pumping his arms like this, right? Almost looked like a kid dancing, like almost identical to that. And I just went, "Hey, Stefan, what happens if they would have got the ball from me?" He goes, "Oh, they would have scored." And I went, "Okay," and I just left it as that. I'm like, I got nothing to say.
Only put that kid in goal when you're up by a lot. I mean, that's crazy. But yeah, people on our sideline and the other sideline were laughing their ass off at my kid dancing.
But
And
you
his,
know
I think it was a USL goalkeeper a few weeks ago that hit a punt and it bounced over someone and went in the back of the goal, I think. He scored from a punt.
I've seen that.
But did he get scored on at all when he was doing that?
So
When he was doing that, did
when
he
he
get
was
scored
doing
on?
that, no. But
So who cares?
He wasn't focused on the game, and then there was a
Don't care.
breakaway on him, and he was standing on the line. And he goes, "Oh, what should I?" And then he just stood on the line, and it didn't end well. Anyway, but he did not get it scored on while he was doing that.
Hats off to him.
Yeah, he had fun. That's all that
Yeah,
counts.
that's
He played very well this weekend, so it was good to see. All right, boys, I think that's going to wrap us up for We Are Soccer for the week. Thanks again to everybody. Again, if you could do us a favor, like, subscribe, share on any of the platforms you're watching us, we would appreciate it. And also, if you're on Spotify or Apple Podcast, give us a nice rating and leave us a nice review. We'd appreciate it. It helps us get up those rankings. All right, boys. Thanks again from the boys, Brooks and Nate at the kids table. Cheers and thank you. See ya.